They were collecting all of my fears. They were connecting black and white. There was a traffic jam inside my head. Was it just regret for things I said? How could I have been so unkind? Then I put my big boots on with my letter torn up feelings, following the music in my head, hitting my head up on the ceiling. And I was fully dramatic, fully intense, separate from myself, way beyond the fences. I'm aware of who I am. But if ashes turn to ashes, will we all fall down? And if I pull you closer to me, tell me, will we stand up? Will we all fall down? Since everyone chooses a God convenient to their will, after all, sincerity's not hard to fake. I know that I can never get my fill. Then somebody else's drum I've been pounding into my head. But when I ask him to be quiet, he just pounds louder instead. And I know while I'm marching, the people are staring, but I don't quite know what I should say. So nice to know ya. Thanks for caring. I hope we meet again someday. But if ashes turn to ashes, will we all fall down? And if I pull you closer to me, tell me, will we stand up? Will we all fall
The views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium.
Pow, bam, boom. Holy Moses. What is going on out there? We are live, Feet to the Fire. I'm your host, James Zafayanchek, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. And I tell you, I was thinking of things, how fast things are going. And I immediately thought of that song by Jenny DuVoe back in the 90s. Indie artist, still around, still putting out CDs, touring and whatnot. Not a household name, but good nonetheless. I left the information underneath for this song I played, Faster Johnny, the CD, Tada, and her website. But it's like going around a merry-go-round faster and faster and faster and see who flies apart. It's not a two-dimensional circle where you're flying around. I guess there's three, but technically, you're going around and who's going to fall off the item. That's not how it works. It's an internal cyclone, and it goes faster and faster. You blow apart. You just blow apart. Your mind goes, consciousness goes, you go crazy. You don't think so? Well, just look around. Check out the news items and what's going on in the world. And the thing is, what do we do to not explode along with it? It's kind of like the whole plan is not to explode with it. And it's hard to say. I mean, there's things we can do not being attached to it. The old Buddhist proverb is pain comes from attachment. Don't get attached to it. The old idea of greed and lust. Even if you're lusting for your will, you're lusting for a judgment, you could get attached to that and just fly apart. So anyway, welcome to those in the various chat rooms. They're broadcasting live on YouTube, which is an HD broadcast. You could see me in HD. There it is. It also will be put up on BitChute sometime after the show is done. There's some kind of automatic wing wham type of deal that allows it to go over there, because I just heard today, this week, that Red Ice Radio lost their YouTube channel and all his shows are gone. And seeing the writing on the wall, though he's got more of a presence than I do, I'm still maybe not looked at as dangerous because not even 2,000 subscribers. I mean, that's a lot, but I mean, other people 100,000. So I'm still kind of under the radar, which is good. But he lost his thing, and I've installed this so that everything goes over to BitChute. So in the case that this happens, everything will be there. Plus, we're audio only on Spreaker. So if you go to Spreaker, it's like speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. You can get a free account there. You might not even need an account. You just search for Feet to the Fire Radio, and you'll find it. There's a chat room there, and so we have Anita. I have to actually find out how to pronounce that because I'm not good with this. Cunneda. Canada. Hopefully you can write it phonetically for me. I'm tired of saying your name. In the chat room, we got a couple people here. Osta. In the other chat room, things will fill in as time goes on. A couple things I want to get to first. I wrote a couple of items that I put up on Feet to the Fire website. I recommend people feettothefireradio.com. Save that, spread that. If there are items that you want to share on Facebook or what have you, you can use these links, it would be better for continue, because if it gets it gets killed on Facebook, then it's gone. But these links are still here. But a couple of things, Trump's lawyers are suing CNN, and the first thing you could think of, well, he's a public figure, a politician to boot. How can he sue a news organization? Because it's very hard to get liable and whatnot. But he's got some pretty smart cookies over there, and they're citing the Lanham Act, which is a court case, a law, which has been upheld in court, that says if you violate your trademark, your like, we're here to help people, and then you end up killing them or something, you violate your own principles. And since their principles is seeking truth, let me get to the actual page, as I quote a few of them on here. The most trusted name in news and facts first. These are some of their taglines. And according to the code, the Lanham Code, and there's a bunch of code numbers there, primary federal trademark statute of law in the United States, the Act prohibits a number of activities, including trademark infringement, trademark delusion, and false advertising. My bold, large text or caps there. A couple of taglines come to mind: the most trusted name in news, facts first. But there's more. In fact, there's a bunch of other unbiased, seeks truth. There's other slogans, but it would be a huge landmark case if they can win this. And they think they can. They have something to stand on, because especially with the videos put out by Project Veritas, it's showing that they are from the get-go not being unbiased, not being fair, not being a news organization, and not disclosing that, but saying the opposite, that they are a news organization, unbiased, seeking truth, seeking facts, and they're not. They're overlooking facts, promoting wrong, and with Veritas behind the scenes now, you have them talking and saying to do these things in contrary to their public presentation, their false advertising, in other words. And now they have some meat on that bone with the Veritas. I mean, you could see it by watching the show. You can discern it, but it seems to be not a legal thing. It would be an opinion, which could be legally adopted if it was brought to court. But nonetheless, this, I think, is a very clever way. Now, the landmark part of it is, if they can actually win this lawsuit, it'll force news agencies to either A, come clean and be more unbiased and do the news, or they will have to say up front. Their new tagline would have to be, describing their pros or cons up front, so buyer knows what they're getting. Any kind of opinion shows where you have hosts, they would still do that. It's just that you would, if it's not said, they would have to say that this is, progressive or whatever, instead of trying to pretend. And then you see, CNN is worldwide. They're in airports, they're in restaurants, because they're perceived to be this fair news thing, balanced, seeking truth, what have you. And they're not. And this would be a huge landmark case. It would be, I'm going to see what the, here's the, how do you say? Hanida. Okay. Thanks for, this would be a huge case, because they would have to then be either fair or come out and say, we are progressive. You could say it doesn't mean everything's all fine and rosy at that point. It means that there would be some loss of, well, I thought you guys told all sides or whatever. Now, people still think that. I don't know what to say, but good case, good call. Trump has got some smart cookies on his side, and he's going to need them with these impeachment battles coming up. Just outrageous, totally outrageous. Let me get to this next article. This is my Lauren Underwood is my representative in Illinois' 14th district to the House of Representatives. I noticed a list of names of the Democratic representatives whose district was carried for Trump. In my actual county, which is Will County, Illinois, Hillary Clinton carried the county, but her particular district with gerrymandering, it's amazing to see the map of it. But she goes up into the Northwest, which would be more Democrats. So I decided to write her a letter, which I posted publicly, and I will read briefly. And the links are on feedthefireradio.com, and I would recommend people bring it out there. I put it on Facebook, on Gab, on Twitter, whatnot. And if anybody happens to get that, just pass it along, because it could be meant for any district. But since she is in one of these Trump districts, I thought that it would behoove me to ask her for an interview, being an independent media, not expecting her to take it up, but nonetheless, enough people ask questions, that it could cause them to remember who voted for them versus the arm twisting in Washington. I wrote, "Greetings, Representative Lauren Underwood. As an independent media talk show host and a voting resident in your district, I would like to request an interview on the ongoing impeachment process. It seems to me very irregular, historically unprecedented, and gives the appearance of political aggression, especially since there is very little public access to the proceeding. Perhaps as a Democrat and member of Congress, you can shed some light on the questions that I have." And then I laid out some simple questions. They're simple, obvious ones. I mean, the people. Let me stop here for a minute. I can ask a question and someone goes, "Well, of course it isn't. This is that and this is that. Of course it is." Well, I mean, you're asking that. Well, I know what. That's not how it works. You can't just answer the questions and no. Well, and here's the answer. You have to be able to demonstrate the answer. This is what's going around in the whole world. People are just saying anything. Well, Trump's a crook. Trump's unbelievable. He's just fighting his country. That's not a true statement. It's the media who's dividing the country along with the left, but in particular the media who's dividing the country. Trump isn't dividing the country. But people could say that and believe it. And this is my point of asking questions, is when you ask a question, when you give an answer, I don't want to hear what you think. I don't want to hear your opinion. I don't want to hear what you feel. That's even worse. I want to see actual data, evidence. You can have logical deductions that are based on reality, on things that if that, then this and all this. You can come up with stuff, but not just, I think they're this. I can't handle it. I'm getting to the point where I can't handle it at all, and I'm beginning to just cut people off who do that kind of stuff because I just can't take it. So anyway, my questions are, with the transcript of the phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian president being publicly available, what other specific information exists to warrant this infrequent, disruptive, and destructive process? Infrequent, of course, because there's only been 3 impeachments. Disruptive should be self-explanatory, and destructive would be as well, in that it destroys confidence, it destroys business opportunities, disrupts business opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. Number 2, as with the other previous impeachment investigations, why has there not been a public vote opening the official inquiry? That is to ask, what makes this time so different? So the theme here in my questions are, we have a past precedence set. Why is it different this time? Number 3, why was the whistleblower's form, apparently from the timing, changed to allow second and third hand information to qualify as a whistleblower? previously, firsthand knowledge was required. So they changed the requirements to be a, quote, whistleblower into hearsay evidence, which was hitherto unaccepted up until this particular whistleblower, with the form being changed shortly beforehand. Number 4, why is the identity and testimony of the whistleblowers, now there's supposedly more, but whistleblowers, being withheld from public has been not the case with other vital whistleblowers from Catherine Austin Fitts to Chelsea Manning and many others? They were all out in the open, and in many cases hanging out there naked and getting no help from the government, and being attacked and imprisoned for whistleblowing. This whistleblower seems to be cheered on by the Democrats, as well as kept in seclusion for their own safety because, well, you know, Trump, he'll go kill them. You know, they're all crazy. 5, why is Representative Adam Schiff defended and not censored for paraphrasing, quote unquote, the transcript grossly out of context to the point of fabrication? That's outrageous. It's outrageous. Okay, so 6, do you have any personal reservations on how and why this process is operating? Now, this is where she has to come up and make a stand, because she is a representative elected by us. She's out there with our proxy vote and our voice. Now, it's a representative republic, so we democratically elect them and they represent us, but they have autonomy to make decisions. Our only recourse is the next election. We can send letters, we can talk to them, and they may listen to us, but there is their choice. It's not. This is one of the reasons for republic is to have a buffer from the mad mob. But when the mad mob is your representatives, and the people are like, "Hey, wait a minute, now see, there's nothing's perfect." At this point, number 7, the last one. At this point, why not let the people decide in 13 months? Just let them run it, let them toss them out if it's bad. Well, the answer to these could be, well, he's going to win again. But we don't know that. She doesn't know that. They don't know that. They may think that. But if they were being truthful, that's the answer why they're getting rid of him now. A, he's going to win again. And B, he may uncover all the kinds of stuff on us before he's, even if he was to be beaten. I can come to your Illinois office for an audio recording, or you can come to my audio-visual studio in Shorewood. I doubt that. Feet to Fire is in its 17th year. I think is it 17 or is it? Yeah, it is 17. Okay. Feet to Fire is in its 17th year, airs live via podcast on Spreaker and HD video on YouTube. Program started in 2003 as an informal yet critical thought inquiry into alternative explorations for science and spiritual topics. Over the years, it has morphed into a Socratesian look at the world with a logical, historical, critical, and truth-seeking eye and finding what is real and what is delusion or illusion. Thank you for your time. Address and whatnot was in the original letter. And that's just the tagline in the bottom there, that this is just for hosts. So we will see what we will see. Will she want to come on? I obviously doubt it highly. I mean, plus, if you look at some of the topics that we've had, I mean, just look at it goes, well, let's go to his website, right? Oops. Let's just go to his website and see what he's talking about. Hear me talking about, gee, are we living in the latter days? Living through lies, realistic reality, Of course, if you listen to Richard Miller and get some of his stuff, it might be when she looks at this stuff, even if she was thinking about it, she's not gonna. Her people would say, no, it's like Alex Jones without the numbers. It's different, but All right, so let's go to Bingo, bango. Go through our list of stuff. In this, no. Off. There we go. Now, I mentioned the Epoch Times. I've been liking them. I mean, I'd almost subscribe to their newspaper. I tend to get stuff online, but they're pretty good stuff. I mean, what I mean by good is, it doesn't mean I like what they say, but it's thought out. It's logical. There's evidence. There's something to it. It's not just, I want to tell you right now, if people go to neonnettle.com, it is a trash site. I'm telling you, I've been there. I've checked out their stories over and over again. You can see the headline and go to a story and see nothing that actually supports the headline. Just a lot of talking. It's very well done. So it almost seems like it's a high quality kind of site for misleading people. When you get high quality, there's usually money involved, or the person just could be very clever, and it's full of clickbait by doing that. So I just want to warn you, whenever I see Neon Nettle now, I've been so burned by the site looking at garbage that I don't even listen anymore. You could have had a come to Jesus moment and is now telling the truth, but he lost me. So I like Epoch Times. And then Gordon Vick writes, aren't these guys owned by Falun Gong, referring to a Chinese guy? And when I did I look on it before, I mean, I knew about this before he asked. Originally, they started as to counteract the effects of the Communist Chinese Party in the West, Europe, United States, because they had agents that were here affecting the Chinese nationals that are here, whether they're guests or they're actually moved here and have family there or whatever. They were squelching any type of people talking about, like, if you have family there, you can have firsthand knowledge of what's going on there. No, they were coming in laying their hammer down. So what this originally got together, these were people, ex-Chinese patriots, and a group in China got together with other people, and they did this process, and over the years it evolved into basically not only dealing against the Chinese communism, bullying and lies and whatnot, but just bullying and lies in social communism, what it does in general in the West. So it's kind of like widen its scope, and it's very good stuff. Overhand, they have a fantastic poster they put together for Spygate. They've been around how many printings of it, where it's about a 4-foot high poster, readable with all the connections to it. It's fantastically done. So I mentioned it to, if people have not checked it out, you should. And, when it's unbiased, people say, wait a minute, you just said it's against Chinese communism. They're biased. Yeah, I would say the unbiased means that they will find truth and facts wherever it goes. So if somebody's truth and factual, whatever, they'll say it, and that person could be a negative entity, but they're truthful in this point, and so it's going to be described accurately. That's how I take it to mean. Let me get off here once. So I wanted to mention that. There's my article I mentioned about the CNN violation already. Again, another person I recommend is Headlines with a Voice. What this lady does, she has a screen name, and so I don't really know who she is, but she will read from published news articles, and of course give footnotes where you can read the whole article and whatnot, and then she might throw her commentaries. But generally are pretty good. They're a little bit. Sometimes she gets a little negative and paranoid about the left winning, which, hey, they could. So Trump, this is I don't know if I could show this. This particular clip is absolutely priceless. Something happened with Donald Trump for good. And I think what happened is when they did this Ukraine thing, he just couldn't believe it. It is the most looseless, weakest lie, the most open, bad stuff. It makes the Russian collusion thing classy, right? And he's like, what? I've been here. This is 3 years. That's it. That's it. So boom, Syria comes in. He does all this stuff, and he's starting to fight back pretty good. And I watched the last 3 rallies. I mean, I literally came home, watched the whole rally, all of them, thanks to Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube. I give kudos to them and recommend when there is a Trump rally to watch it on them because they have been covering them out of their own pocket, asking people for donations to send people around, fly around for these rallies since the beginning of the rallies for 2016. And kudos to them for doing it. And they were showing the crowds when no one else would. Well, word got back, I think, to the president. And so the last set of rallies, they were in, rather than people who get in there and stand on their own, they were put right in with the press pool. And they were literally set up next to CNN, which I'm sure had really pissed them off because they're arrogant SOBs. And here's these young upstarts, they got put in there. And also Epic Times, I mentioned them. They're getting press seating and whatnot. And One American News Network has started to carry the rallies. And they are getting noticed for coming up with many stories. If you don't have that, if you have AT&T video cable, it's there. Find it. OANN. And it will be your new news network. And if not, you can get it on the web. You can subscribe through Roku, which is what I do because I have Xfinity for now anyway. Back to this. Let me see if I can do this without having the end of the world happen. And what end of the world is happening here?
On the green light to invade?
I didn't give him a green light.
Well, did you tell him?
That's
Did he
the
defy
same thing
you?
as you just, when you make a statement like that, it's so deceptive. Just the opposite of a green light. First of all, we had virtually no soldiers there. They were mostly gone. Just a tiny little group. And they would have been in harm's way. You have a massive army on the other side of the border. But more importantly, I didn't give him a green light. And if anybody saw the letter, which can be released very easily if you'd like, I could certainly release it. But I wrote a letter right after that conversation, a very powerful letter. There was never given a green light. They've been wanting to do that for years, and frankly, they've been fighting for many, many years. And when you ask a question like that, it's very deceptive, John. It's almost as deceptive as you showing all of the bombings taking place in Syria, and it turned out that the bombing that you showed on television took place in Kentucky. So,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that ABC apologized for that, but certainly it was a terrible thing. I'm looking at this, I'm saying, wow, that's pretty bad. And it was in Kentucky, it wasn't in Syria, so I don't know what you're going to do about that, but I think ABC owes an apology.
You darn right they do.
Lindsey Graham just said of your remarks that you made in the Oval Office that if
And
you keep
this guy
talking
just
like
goes on,
that,
right?
quote, this will be a disaster worse than Obama's decision to leave Iraq.
No, Lindsey Graham would like to stay in the Middle East for the next 1,000 years with thousands of soldiers fighting other people's wars. I want to get out of the Middle East. I think Lindsey should focus right now on judiciary, like the Democrats, the do-nothing Democrats, as I call them, because they're doing nothing. They're getting nothing done. They're not getting USMCA done between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. They're getting nothing done. And I think Lindsey should focus on judiciary. He ought to find out about what happened with Comey, what happened with McCabe, Lisa, what happened with Peter Strzok, what happened with President Obama, what happened with Brennan. That's what Lindsey ought to focus on. That's what the people of South Carolina want him to focus on. The people of South Carolina don't want us to get into a war with Turkey, a NATO member, or with Syria. Let them fight their own wars. They've been fighting for 1,000 years. Let them fight their own wars. The people of South Carolina want to see those troops come home. And I want an election based on that. And that's the way it is, whether it's good or bad. That's the way it is. And if you look at this country, I'd be willing to bet anything, political instinct, that that's what the country wants. I'm not going to get involved in a war between Turkey and Syria, especially when, if you look at the Kurds, and again, I say this with great respect, they're no angels. If you look at PKK, take a look at PKK. ISIS respects PKK. You know why? Because they're as tough or tougher than ISIS. You take a look at a lot of the things having to do, you have to say it. Nobody wants to say it. We're making the Kurds look like they're angels. We paid a lot of money to the Kurds, tremendous amounts of money. We've given them massive fortunes. And you know what? It's wonderful. They fought with us, but we paid a lot for them to fight with us. But just so you understand, we were the ones that captured ISIS. People let some go. They opened a couple of doors to make us look as bad as possible. We have a situation where Turkey is taking land from Syria. Syria is not happy about it. Let them work it out. We shouldn't be over there. And you should get your accounts correct. And you shouldn't be showing up buildings blowing up in Kentucky.
Yes,
and
you
say it's
tell
Syria,
them.
because that really is fake news.
Yes. I'm telling you, something happened, and it's like, yeah. I mean, and plus they showed the fake video. I mean, they showed this apparently is what's happening now in Syria. Syria, it's surreal and it's Syria at the same time. That was great. It just hammered them, and it was all truth. What was Trump being crazy there? Was he losing his top? He had all the evidence, all the truths right there. And yet the reporter just let the stuff that Trump said just bounce off like nothing and go on to the next hammer question. All right, let me go back to the page. Very interesting. I got the wrong filter on. Here's a graph. As Hillary Clinton got power, coincidentally, I'm pointing to it, but you can't see. There we go. As it got power, coincidentally, the amount of money given to the Clinton Foundation rose. She stepped down as Secretary of State. Well, what can she influence now? Much. Now she wants for president. Boom. Goes up. She loses to Trump. They closed the fund. Now tell me. Now, again, I'm not talking about, I think they're using the Clinton fund for something bad. Look at the logic contained in that graph. Why would people be giving the money because she's in an influential position? I mean, that makes sense. It's the same thing with Biden and his son. They weren't doing it beforehand, doing it, it's because there's influence to be had there, which is why. Now, for those who are local here in Illinois, there has been some corruption investigations and indictments. And it's kind of funny. A alderman in Chicago, Alderman Burke, was indicted for corruption charges. He ran for office and won. He's still indicted, and he's still going to trial. It's just funny. Bill Barr subpoenaed the entire Democratic organization of Chicago suburb in corruption probe. They're going to have a lot of paperwork to do there with Chicago alone, let alone these other cities. Great picture. And I got this on, I don't know if it was Twitter, or if it was Gab. I think it was Gab. There was a Trump rally. Here's a person standing there. I became a U.S. citizen in 2017, voting for Trump 2020. There you go. There's the, they say Trump is against immigration and immigrants. No, he's not. Against illegal immigrants. And that's another thing that aggravates me terribly is how they just say that kind of stuff. And they just say it, right? Oh, he's against immigrants. No, he's not. Oh, he says all Mexicans are whores and drug dealers. No, he didn't. This is how they parsed it and repackaged it. Oh, I can't stand that. It drives me nuts. Here's a nice little graph. Your army is here, or Syria. The invaders are here in the south border. That's where the army should be. Now, this is interesting. If you go back a couple of weeks, we did a show with Rob Gavin talking about security. And one of the problems is with the AI and the quantum computers together, the ability to do, inconceivable computations per second is multiplying, so that the whole idea of having security on your websites or your banking or whatnot is to break the code. Security, it'd be like if you had a combination lock on your bike, and there was trillions and trillions of little number dials that you had to try one by one to try and figure it out. It would take 1,000 years to do it, which makes it unbreakable. Now the odds are really high against it. It's easier to win the lottery like several times in a row, but you could guess it just by accident. But the odds are so high against it that even if you do it by accident, the odds are ridiculous. Well, when AI comes in and quantum computing, where they have cooled down the chips down to near absolute zero and added multiple, instead of on off, you have on off both, neither logic in your programming, your analysis. The amount of trials you can make on those trillion locks, you can now physically do it. It's now reasonable that you can take any particular encryption and break it. Of course, the problem is that quantum computing is very expensive. And even though they may be able to do it, the amount of quantum computing time that you would have to purchase to be able to break that lock is very expensive. Of course, quantum computings are millions and millions of dollars, right? So they're going to have to give people access to it, and to have access to the whole computer working on that one problem is very problematic money-wise, in resources. But then again, if they want to do it, they can do it. Article about this, I'll put this there. It explains what people can do. Basically, you're protecting yourself from the run-of-the-mill hacker. But if you're, it's like your Rob even responded to that. Basically, if you're protecting yourself from hackers, you have nothing to worry about if you are protecting yourself about hackers. If you're protecting yourself from the powers that be, then get off the internet. That's the only option. Okay, so now this came and went, right? But it did seem you had Biden do a gaffe. We got to get Trump out by the 17th. Now, he probably just said it because the Trump had a rally at 17th and his mind is jumbled. So people say that, and then they think Kennedy and Dallas. But I will say that Trump is at his most vulnerable at these rallies. So if it comes to the point where they just can't get him, and it's getting closer and closer, and they may have to shoot him, this is the rallies are the part that are but we're dealing with God here. I'm not saying Trump is a saint sent by God. Forget all of that. Get that nonsense out of there. Anybody could step forward, stand up, to do something that's right, and God can bless him, right? And he does believe in God, accepts it, and yeah, he's got a checkered past. But let me tell you, and I've quoted from, was it John, when you help people like that, it can cover a whole lot of sin. So I'm not saying he's some kind of saint, but he may have God working with him because of what he chose. He chose to do the right thing, gave up his cush lifestyle, and he's been hassled and hammered. When you're righteous, when you are what's the word, attacked, persecuted for righteousness' sake. When you are persecuted for doing something right, God is there, right? And what I see is if somebody's going to shoot the president, let's say, at one of these events, any little thing can go wrong. See, when you talk about God, you're talking about infinite knowledge of the universe both before and after it even happens. All God has to do and it is he could even influence somebody to happen to be somewhere at a certain time to be able to see somebody doing something. I got to go to the bathroom. And then you see the guy with the gun. All these crazy, talk about winning odds, talk about picking the trillion locks. No problem for God, who's well beyond AI and well beyond quantum computing. All you got to do is just be there at the right time and just have a little butterfly effect, and it's over. When someone has their free will to try and assassinate somebody, kill somebody, they can try. It doesn't mean they have to succeed. And so, that's why I think there's a lot of prayer went into this. And I'm not saying anything would have happened. I mean, it's interesting. And I'm surprised at this point that they haven't just, maybe they're kicking themselves. They should have got rid of them early on, but they were so confident in all the little tricks that they had. Oh no, we'll get them. I don't know. Anyway, moving on to this nice little statement. Congress never voted to send troops to Syria, but in 5 minutes, we will be voting on a resolution that disproves Trump removing them. Again, it's let me see. Yeah, I've been watching Tucker, and I like him for the most part. I don't like Hannity because he's an ego. Like most radio TV guys are all into themselves. Now, it takes somebody who's got an ego to push through to make it. I understand that. But to me, it's just not pleasing to watch. And I just said I wish Hannity would just shut up and let his guests talk. Because I do like some. John Solomon is a guy to watch. Sarah Carter, Tom Fenton, Judicial Watch. These people are doing heavy lifting on getting information and research, and they're doing it with good ethics too. And Trump tweeted out about Nancy Pelosi was yelling at him, and he's sitting there, and she went out and said he was unhinged. Oh yeah, here's somebody called me up, and I looked up this to kind of verify what he was telling me. Marine Division got sent to California for games. And interesting, it was September. They were sent there. It's kind of interesting timing given what's going on here. Here's my letter to. I skipped this stuff here. Oh, yeah, this is very important. What this whole socialism. Well, Maduro isn't a socialist. Yeah, this is the thing. Socialism, capitalism, any ism, if the people involved are righteous, right, it can work, right? It's just that you're not. That's the point. You're dealing with humans, but everything from psychopaths to simply greedy or narcissistic. So you got to have safeguards against that. So whenever you have a central government that has the ultimate power, it will always attract psychopaths who will do whatever it takes to get in that position and then do whatever they want at that point. Here's a picture. I'm guessing, I can't see too well. It looks, maybe it was the Nazis shooting people. I can't see the ethnicity because this also happened with Mao Zedong, is that they just killed millions of people. Just get them out of the way. We'll just kill them. And it happened every time, every single time. And it didn't happen in, not that way in Finland or whatever up there, but they're not socialist. They're capitalist. They have socialism programs, socialized medicine or what have you. They're not socialists. Socialists and communists, it's like saying a psychopath or a sociopath. I mean, like, what are the differences? Well, there's differences, but it doesn't matter with the effect of the people around them, right? So what these crony capitalism is bad as well, right? What these things do is whenever you get absolute power, it will corrupt absolutely, and it'll attract the worst psychopaths that could be there, and they will do whatever it takes, because this is the thing people have to understand. When somebody seeks power, Bill Clinton said when he was a kid he wanted to be president. Red flag. Red flag. Somebody should be president because They feel moved to be president because their talents are needed. Not, I want to be president. I want to be the number one singer in the world. I want to have the number one movie ever made. No, those are all bad things. The number one movie of all time isn't a bad thing. But striving to have the number one movie of all time, why? Why? It sounds to me there's an ego base there. You want to be president, you want to be leader. It's like the best kind of leaders are the reluctant ones, the ones that do it because it needs to get done and they can do it. And Trump does fall in that category. I'm looking. So it's very important when I don't really have access to the Ute, as the old Mayor Daley used to say, the Utes, to talk about it. But I would explain that when something has been tried over and over again, what is different this time? What is going to be different? You can't say the people and their attitudes will be different, because even if they are, they can be corrupted, and even if they're not, the next guy can. That's the problem. This is why you have constitutional republic. The Constitution is not changing. It's there to restrain the government from going into a power grab. Now, they're trying to do it anyway without the Constitution, so it's not a foolproof thing. It takes the people to stand up to support the Constitution. If they can just not listen to it, who's going to do anything about it? And now they're maneuvering to say if Trump does anything about it or Barr, then they're the ones actually doing the cooing. I'm not going to go into this. You can see it. The links are all over the place for the CNN whistleblowers talking about, all these guys are fired. And, of course, they may have to not fire them because it would be an admission of guilt, and they're trying not to. But definitely CNN is on the ropes, and other news should be watching and adjusting. I'd like to point out this guy, this Douglas McGregor. Oops. Very important guy. I've seen him on Lou Dobbs and Tucker, and very good the way he said he predicted what Trump's plan was, what would happen when he was just saying it. And it happened just like he said. So he's a military guy. He's a colonel. He retired. But he's one of the guys who's got a good handle on it. He's a no-nonsense guy. Straight up and straight out. But that's fine. I'll take that. And wise. And that's more important than anything else. And I mentioned what Trump was talking about. They showed the slaughter in Syria, and it was a gun range in Kentucky. Now, this is where the critical thinking comes in. All right. I got this video. Been a mistake. It's really shooting in Kentucky. Well, how did you get it? The way it works in the networks or anywhere is you have things that are filed appropriately. So somebody either filed it on, under Syria, but currently, because they wouldn't go back years ago and use the footage to say, here they are, we're doing it now. I mean, they could, but somebody had to make the decision to bring that Kentucky video out, label it, make it hot news, and pass it along. And once it got into the other people, they're not going to check it. They're going to go along. Oh, okay, we got a hot video here. Okay, let's put it on. The guys on the news are saying, well, apparently we're having a slaughter in Syria, and it was. So either all it takes is, somebody in that chain to be the one to do that, make that decision. They can't accidentally find it. What was it, laying on a pile? Oh, wait a minute. Here is news footage from hours ago. It just happened to be laying here that was laying around for 2 years ago when they actually did this in Kentucky. So when you start to think about it, you can, instead of just saying, I think they did this and that, you can actually use logical deduction to say, well, what would it take to get in the hands of the person to stick it in the player and the copywriters to write copy and the guy on the desk to be able to talk about it? Well, there's got to be a way this happens. Stuff doesn't fall out of the sky. And that is why it has to have planned. It has to have been done, because even if it was mislabeled or even if it wasn't labeled and they put it in and they assumed it was Syria, why is this 2-year-old tape laying out on a desk somewhere? I hope this works out too. I'm not in California, and God bless those who are, but there's a recall for Gavin Newsom, and it really would send a message to these people that people in California can be pushed around. It doesn't even have to be Republican. It's the idea of he's destroying California. Think about this. They had fires. One of the reasons is because of bad forestry management as dictated by either or Obama or the governor. And you have old faulty wiring that caused the spark of this underlying tinder, which wouldn't have been there. And so the power generation place, PG&E, doesn't want to fix it, can't afford it, it's too much money, doesn't want to fix it. The state's like, well, I'm going to fix it. This is your gig. I'm not going to do it. So they're just going to turn off the power so they don't start fires. What? This is the kind of knucklehead stuff that's out there. And already somebody died because some life-saving machine was all turned off. So I'm hoping that if you're watching this show and if you are in California, you can go look at this video and find out how you could sign the petition. They already, they have a schedule of we need X amount of signatures by this time and so on. And then they have picked a number, which is almost twice as much as they need, because when it starts to get challenged, they're going to start to say, no, this we can't read this signature. This person is, I don't know who this is, or, and they start to chop them down. So you can't have, we need 100,000, here's 100,000. You need 200,000, right? And they actually need 1.3 million signatures. And so they're going to have like 2 million signatures to be safe, whatever. And they've already way ahead of schedule. They have hundreds of thousands of signatures already, and they're ahead of their little schedule they got to do. So that's a good sign. I want that to keep up so people, because what happens is these people need to be recalled, voted out of office, recalled, whatever, for not serving the people. That's what they need to do. It's not political, even at this point. Yeah, this is. You've probably seen this already, and I'll get choked up at playing it. I'll put the video links on there. But Trump and his rally, I saw it live at the rally. He talked about the hardest thing he had to do was go meet the family of the soldiers that have been killed in Syria and Iraq and Iran and all this, or Afghanistan. And it was very touching. Here he is, 20,000 plus people in the stadium. You can hear a pin drop as he's telling this. And then he says, we got to bring him home. And the place just erupts. It's like just total eruption of clapping. And then somebody had overlaid video on it showing what he was talking about, meeting the people, what happens, and how the honor guards. And it's extremely touching. And think about this. When Obama was president, no news, no coverage of no pictures of any of the dead coffins that are coming back, the dead bodies in coffins. None. Here's Trump talking about it's the hardest thing he's got to do as president. This is why the man does have a soul. He's not a psychopath. He's not crazy. He's a human being, and he's just fed up with the crap that's going on here, which I am as well. Because I'll tell you, those last three rallies, he's really turned it on. Okay, that's our last week show. So let me click over to other one. They're off different angles, so I gotta trim them. Now, Lindsey Graham, oddly enough, after criticizing Trump and saying it was going to be the end of the world with what he's doing, he says, hell of an outcome. Stunned Trump basher Lindsey Graham now says the president has his plan for Syria is working. So I'm telling you, with this guy, come on with this Trump. I don't care if the tweeting or whatever, but come on. The guy's going in there just think what he could do if he didn't have the weight of the left hanging on him. All the stuff that's getting done. I got to tell you, let me stop here. My business, the trucking business, is brutally getting hammered. And it's not just imports, exports, it's cross-country. It's brutal. I mean, trucking companies are going out of business. There was 4,200 truck drivers laid off last month. I know the place I'm working in, I'm down to 4-day weeks, and the work is unpleasant and doesn't pay well. So we're getting hammered. Now, I don't know how you can have an employment up, wages up, and the number of jobs grown, not only unemployment. What are they doing? Selling hamburgers? Somebody's got to bring hamburgers to them, right? And trucks, every single thing that you have in your hand has been on a truck several times. In most cases, the parts, the shipment to warehouses, to delivery to the stores, or the person. And I don't understand it. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I'm trimming back. I'm cutting down, and I'll tell you right now, I may have to cut some of the internet stuff to do these shows because I'm getting nothing in from the shows, and I'm losing my butt. So I want to say that there is something going on, not good in the economy, and I don't know what it is. I've read articles. They've said people are afraid to order. They think there's a crash coming or whatever. And this is what's going on with this impeachment process. If Trump's impeached, the market will crash like, if I can use one of his phrases, like we've never seen before. And yet they're willing to do that just to get rid of him. You know why? Because all the corruption is going to come out and they're going to go to prison. So that's why they're willing to do that, because they can go with their millions, hundreds of millions of dollars and go away somewhere while the country crashes or take it over. So I got what they're doing. Get this. It's probably going to be shown here in an article. Oh, I'll get to that. Yeah. Children pole dancing classes defended as, that's not sexual. Come on. What? Huh? Whatever. I mean, I'm not turned on by a kid pole dancing. I'm disgusted by it. It's like, don't do that. Okay. Let's go back to here. Here's a picture of a congresswoman. Right. It's a little graphic, but they have blurred it out. So I apologize if it's a little shocking, but this is what we need. Here's a Democratic congresswoman, Kate Hill. She is naked. It's in a bigger picture. You can see it's naked, combing the hair of a staff worker while the staff worker is working on her phone. This is the people that are in government. Huh? Also, there's other stories of the people who are giving to her campaign, and a lot of money's going to her. So here's, I guess good news in that a man received 5-year sentence after repeated threats to Trump family. He got arrested, tried, and convicted. There you go. You shouldn't be able to do that. It's not being something special. You shouldn't do it to nobody. There's another important news item. There's if someone takes an abortion pill, if they take the antidote soon enough, you can have a complete healthy term of a child. And there's articles about people who have took the abortion pill, felt guilty about it, quickly found out about a anti-abortion pill to counteract it, and they've had, here's the item, to date, abortion pill reversal is saved over 900 babies from abortion. So it's very important that liveaction.org, it's a heart-wrencher, but it's a very important website. And I support I would recommend people to see that. I mean, oops. All right, now this is actually my attempt at a meme. Now the picture itself was already done, but I put this little thing on. Here's a picture of Arab woman. I don't know where it is. It said in the original article it was from Michigan, so maybe. Okay, but they've written down with the USA on their hands. So what I say is, what? Sharia law doesn't allow women to paper either? So this is ridiculous. Now, what these ladies are is they're undereducated. They're probably low IQ because, again, the high IQ people left these countries and became doctors, right? Doctors and, whatever, technicians and whatnot. And the people left behind as they intermingle and intermarry, you got the low IQ stuff. So they're not educated. So I'm not blaming them per se, but you're going to give them a vote. Well, now it's a problem. Now, there's another thing I'm not liking is this Extinction Rebellion. Those people are spooky, creepy. Let me tell you. They dress up in the makeup, and let me see if I can find some of these pictures. Yes. I'm not seeing the. Here we go. Huh? They'll block traffic and they'll sit like this. It's crazy stuff. We're going to get extinct if we don't change, airplanes and whatnot. And yet, of course, the people who are leading the movement for climate control are flying around the world in their private jets. But what this article did, I didn't have the. Did it show? Did I have the right? Hang on, let me see if I. Yeah, it showed. Okay, hit the wrong. What happened is people get up on top of airplanes, subways in Europe, so they can't move the plane. So they're trying to stop the moving of the plane, the subway, the train, or to stop it. Extinction. But the trains, of course, are actually going to be good for the environment versus individual cars. But that's another topic. So what happens is people going to work are getting fed up with this stuff. So they went up on top of the tube and grabbed these people, throw them off, started knocking them around. They had the security guards had to protect them from getting beat up. It's like, there you go. That's how you handle this stuff. You're gonna do something like that, which is going to cause pain and suffering, whether it be financial or aggravation in terms of my normal day, normal legal day. Oh. Great picture. This is a great picture. This was at the meeting with Trump. Not looking like they've accomplished a whole lot. And yet they still got to go out and make up stuff. This is ridiculous. They all got to go. It's beyond the point now. It's like if you get into a argument with somebody, there's a point where you can kind of lay down a hatchet and work something out. Well beyond that. It's now it's him or me type of thing. You can't walk away from this and have normality because they have gone too far, too lies, too dramatic, too intentional, too premeditated, and too hostile. Another video. What are the odds of 4 people all having children working for Ukraine gas companies? There's Romney. No wonder Romney's all upset about Trump with Ukraine. Uh-oh. See, these pictures are worth $1 million. And this should be CNN, MSNBC, ABC. This is what they should be doing. But no, it doesn't. It takes somebody out there making a meme and sending it out. Here, top never Trumpers tied to politicians indicted for human smuggling and selling children. Hey, I wonder why they never wanted Trump. I think we're pretty much done. Yeah, here's another little statistic. More people killed with knives, hammers, clubs, even feet than rifles in 2008. That's how devastatingly bad the rifles are. All right, I think we're gonna mention this one not yesterday. Last time. let me go back to here and see if I got any popping news. We get to the last point. I want to mention, I should go back to this then. I'm going to sneeze now, so hold on. It's pretty dramatic when I sneeze. That's why I want to share with the class. Going back to the webpage. Let me go to the full webpage. I got this Facebook page, Extreme Left Watch, and I was going to take it down because I don't want to get into a right-left thing. And then you can't really change the title because people are already attached to it, but I would call it, how would I call it? Call it just, I don't know, like draining the swamp page or something like that, because we're talking about a lot of the extreme left is part of the swamp. But if you are on Facebook, I'm not trying to get you on Facebook. I would like to get off of it, but I still have enough people on here that I want to contact with. But if you go on Facebook and type in, search for Extreme Left Watch, the actual little name is, the @ left extremist. You might want to follow it or what have you, because I do put up stuff that's kind of crazy on there. My own personal page is more diverse, though I do put stuff up there, but it is more diverse. I also want to talk about Gab. Let's say that. Gab, I really recommend Gab. I'm going to turn off one of those. I really recommend it because Gab could be Twitter and or Facebook by its system. The only drawback to Gab is A, your friends aren't there, perhaps, and B, they're still working on the system. But it's getting better and better and more. So any changes that they do are for the better. So you could kind of see the Twitterness of it as well as the Facebookness of it in terms of you can put, I forgot how many, let me see what it says here. 3,000 characters. You can put 3,000 characters into Twitter. Plus, then you can always add to it like you can in I say Twitter? What do they call it? A Gab? I don't know what they call it. You can always add to it when you get done and reply to your own post, and it's stuck underneath it. But there's no censorship here at all. I mean, there's a self-censorship in that if you put up something that's sensitive, you have to check mark it to say it's not for everybody. I forgot how the phrase is. Let me just see if it does it here. Testing 1, 2, 3. What is the CW? There's a check mark that comes up. Oh, I see. You can warn. See, you hit the CW. And you put your warning here. The text will be hidden, and there'll be a warning, and they'll have to click on it. Plus, there's another option that you can make it so that it should be seen by people under a certain age, and that's good. That's a good thing because you're self-censoring. You're for people of a certain age and whatnot, or if they're sensitive, you're going to put a post as a dog getting ripped in half or something in Asia for dinner. You might want to just put that out there. You might warn people. Got some pretty good memes on here. Some people got kicked off of Twitter have went here. In fact, this is the home, basically, of people get kicked off of Twitter and have gone here. But I think it's well worth it. I've already started a group. Beat the Fire radio group that you could join. But I just did it, and there's very few people here. There's 157 people following me. It's if you are interested in Gab, I'd highly recommend it. It's free. You can have a pro version. and pay per year. All it does is give you longer tweets, and you can create groups. There's some, it's value added, but you're not missing out on any. You're not going to, I can't see it because I'm not pro. None of that. And most people who go pro are doing it because they support the system. So this is what I would recommend people go there. And because, eventually if I do get knocked off Twitter, this is going to be, I wish James Woods would go here, but he's stubborn. He's not going to, he shouldn't have been kicked off Twitter, and he's not going, and that's it. So gab.com, you can download it, put it in. It's Mac, Windows, Linux, the whole 9 yards. Plus, it is growing and better. There's a item, it's pretty nice. There's a thing called, Gab itself is its own system, but there are other systems that are using the Gab software, and they're called their own thing. So all you have to do is hit the button all. You're going to get a million ads per second. See, there's already 6 because you're now connecting to other systems, and then you can add those people to your list so that you will pull them from the other system that they're involved with. It's very nice. It's decentralized, and it's very customizable. I mean, from a programmer's standpoint, from a creator's point of view, it's very good. So again, I would highly recommend Gab to people. If there's anything. So let me check here. Well, also people know when you watch this after the fact, the chat room information is still there. So when people post stuff there, it can go along with the replay on it. So I want to mention that. So I think that's going to be it for today. If I had to go down to the free Spreaker, I'm going to, it's going to have to, it had to be left to an hour because that's what the free one does allow you. I think it's an hour, maybe it's 45 minutes. I'll have to work something out. But in the event you feel so moved, you go to feedthefireradio.com, you go on the side, there's help and support. There's many ways you can do it. I do have a patron page. The PayPal got taken away. I got to redo it. Oh, there it is. I have to redo it. Sometimes it's gone. There's a U.S. mail now. I warn you, I don't check the mailbox often, but it's there. There's the Bitcoin, the whole 9 yards. Cryptos and all that, which I've never got a one yet. So, if you were so inclined, I mean, you can, Patreon, you can do $1 a month. And, 20 of those 20 people giving $1 a month pays for Spreaker, the pro Spreaker package I have. So, that's all it takes to do it. But it's hard. That gets you to know how bad it is. That $20 a month is like, it's hard for me here. So, anyway, that is that. I do want to mention that. I guess people say if you don't mention it, they don't know, and so I mention it. I guess that's it. Oh, what happened to my picture? Is it gone all this time? Oh, I turned it off. Oh, there I am. My gosh. So that is that. Feet to the Fire Radio in our 17-year. Going to be 18 years on January 5th. So been around in all the articles. In fact, let me go back to that. I actually want to show you all of the shows I've ever done are online still. I pay $2 a month for Google Drive, put all the shows on it. And so if you want to see you want to go to the original shows. This is my original website that I did. It was 2003. 2017, I switched over to, this is the number 2F, F2F.com, but you can go from feedthefireradio.com. When you go here, it's got all of the shows up to 2017. And they're all in MP3, I believe, MP3 versions. To find out about the show, you click on the year. I'll just do one here. And then you can go down and you see what kind of show that you want. There's a little quickie. You can click on that and get a bigger view of the show. Now, these links don't work to download it. They used to. But I've had to cancel my server due to the costs and move on to a cheaper server. So I can't make it that simple anymore. And there's no way I can go through and re-encode hundreds of pages to reflect. So once you find your show, you back out to this page, okay? And you click this link. I'll do it, but I have admin access, so it's going to show more. It's going to show my admin page, and all the years are there. You click on the year, and then all the shows are there. When you click on them, you can listen to them or you can download them. And I'm telling you this because all the shows are there. And once you've researched which ones you want to talk about, here's a short view, and then the long view explains about the show, the guests who are on it, what it's about. Once you do that, all you have to do is remember the date, March 30th, 2014. That's all you have to do. Go back, hit that link, brings you to the drive page. You go to 2014, and then you scroll down to find March. I forgot what the date was, so I didn't write it down. There's March. So that's all there's to it. It's free, okay? All right, it costs me $2 a month to do this. So every show I've ever done from 2003 is there, except for a handful that I lost. So if you're new to the show, I got 17 years of shows for you to listen to. And a lot of them are go back to more like Art Bellion stuff for the most part of it. It was only 2016, really, I got involved with this whole government stuff because of what was happening. So I don't know. I made it. It's sure. Could it be easier? Yeah. Could it be easier? But the amount of effort it would take me to make it easier is if you can't do a couple of clicks, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you there. But you could download them in their MP3 format. I do have high quality versions of all this stuff. I just have to put them on. I mean, I got 18 years worth of show almost. I have to put them all on disc and do it. I just don't have the time. And plus, somebody would have to want to buy them. And at the point I'm getting donations, it doesn't look like people are going to buy them anyway. So I'm not going to. But it's there. So if you happen to be interested, you just go to feedthefireradio.com, hit the original website, and you start that little journey. I've made it. It's pretty intuitive. The only thing I had to explain is you have to find the date of the show you want, and you have to go back up to that first page. You have to go back up to this page, and then, you can't see it here. You got to scroll it a little bit and hit that at this link. You could use this custom search thing to even help you find topics, too. Rather than going through each year and reading each one. It's not 100%, but it works for the most part. I use it myself to find particular shows that I do. So I think that is that. And anything else we got coming here? Okay, we'll see you next time. And back to the topic of the show, the speeding up everything. Remember, you gotta detach from it, or you'll explode. I mean, I know myself. I'm having so much trouble with work and stress and bills, repairs of the truck, and all this stuff. I gotta let go of it, or I'll explode. So I'm telling you from like my heart personally. You gotta just let go. You can't. I can't control what happens with Trump. I have to just let it be, but I can pray and I can do my part as I see. And this is what I got from God one time when I was here at the show. I was very upset I talk about the abortion stuff, and God says, do what you can when you can. And that doesn't mean be lazy, or it doesn't mean overly aggressive, because sometimes you can be too pushy and you create, you shoehorn yourself into a situation where it's not energetically been prepared for you. So it takes discernment. You can be too lazy, you can be too aggressive. If you fly along there, you do what you can when you can, and leave the rest up to God, because there's a big picture here about stuff, and all this evil and bad that's happening is going to be for a good purpose in the long run, and God's going to take care of that, because don't forget, he's not an AI, not a quantum computer. It is infinity computer, an infinity of age, of wisdom, of knowledge, infinity of love, infinity of power. And that's in the background going to make sense of all this at one point. Now, somebody who was like an atheist, critically thinking atheist, will say, what, you just make this stuff up? Well, no, it's not. I can't prove it to someone else, but it's been proven internally to me, which is why I don't preach much about it, because I realize that what I say happens to me doesn't matter to other people. It's too personal. But in a logical sense, either we all go out and kill ourselves, or there's some purpose here for our greater good. So I'm going to go with the latter, given the options at this point. Anyway. All right, we'll see you guys next time. God bless. God bless.